Well, hello, everybody. It's our third weekly podcast. Super excited today. I guess, Terry, you made it through the hurricane. You look all chipper back there. So no hurricane issues.
No, we just got 3 inches of rain and not a whole lot of wind. Last year we went through, we had the eye of both Ike and the other hurricane. I can't remember what that one was, or Ian, I'm sorry, Ian, Ike. Ian went through Houston. Ian and the other one after that, we've got both eyes. But here in Central Florida, you don't worry. If you're high and dry like I am, I'm 100 feet above sea level, which is hard to believe Florida can do that. But I'm 100 feet above sea level. I don't worry about flooding. Just worry about, there's a ton of oak trees around, so you just worry about those falling, but made it through no problem. And this last one was just like a decent rainstorm that lasted a day, so no big deal.
This will be like a test for me, I guess. Every week I have to remember where we were. Well, the first one we were in Las Vegas. That's easy, my hometown. Last weekend we were in Dallas, and this week, this Monday, we're traveling over to Franklin, North Carolina. I got a good friend, Ethan Lanigan, amazing realtor in the Franklin area, Tennessee. How you doing, Ethan? Good to see you.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm sitting in my home office in Franklin, Tennessee, which is about 20 minutes south of Nashville. My family and I moved here about 4.5 years ago and couldn't be happier with our decision.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today. Today, I figured we were going to talk a lot about Tennessee, and we were going to talk, maybe bring up some topics about why people are leaving California. I've got the utmost respect for Terry. He knows so much about why people are leaving. So let's start there. Terry, let's talk a little bit about why are so many people leaving?
Well, at first, David, people always mention the cost of living is just getting out of control, and it has been for a long time. I was in Tennessee last week. I paid $3.29 for a gallon of gas. But someone posted in the group $7 a gallon in Central Valley in California. You know, if gas is twice as expensive in California as it is in other places, then that's everything, right? I mean, that means the trucks that are delivering are paying twice as much. Everything is just more expensive. And so the cost of living, but I personally, I also believe the politics is why the cost of living is twice as much or higher in California than it is the rest of the country, because of bureaucracy, because of regulations that they put on businesses, how hard it is to run a business in California compared to most other places. In fact, I was just talking to a friend of mine in Louisiana. You know, Louisiana a few years ago created a new law that said, hey, if you want to create home-based products in your kitchen, sauces or things like that, and sell it like at trade shows or fairs or things like that, more power to you. They put a cap on how much you can earn. But imagine starting that in California, how much regulation you'd have. Just the $1,000 business license alone would stop most people. So not to mention the health inspector coming to inspect, and you know they're going to find 100 things wrong with the place. So anyway, that's a long explanation, but really cost of living and politics are why most people are leaving, and quality of life that goes along with that.
Well, then let's go straight to Ethan on this topic too, because Ethan, you've helped a lot of people get out of California and come to your area. So what are you hearing straight from your clients? What do you got?
Well, I mean, I think for us, we can relate it back to our personal experience a lot. Cost of living was a factor. I mean, I lived a good life. I was a fairly high producing realtor in California as well, and I'm still licensed there. So we weren't, struggling to afford a mortgage or anything like that. But being able to move across the country to an area that has schools that are twice as highly rated and get a house that's twice the size, and brand new construction versus a 1950s ranch house. And we bought for about 200 grand less than we sold for in California, certainly played a role. But I think for us and for a lot of people, the financial aspect of it is a portion of the decision. But I think a lot of people and a lot of my clients that are moving here for better quality of life. Better taxes is a huge draw to Tennessee, having some of the most favorable tax laws in the country. And I have a lot of clients that just kind of drew a line in the sand with some of the stuff that was being done in California and saying, I'm not raising my kids there regardless of cost of living. And we're going to relocate and raise them in an environment that kind of more aligns with our beliefs. So it's a combination, but we have we have mid-range clients that are moving here that, we're middle class and just want to go get better quality of life, better house for their money, and, better city environments, better taxes, less crime, not overrun with homeless, things like that, and just less government overreach is a term that I use a lot. And we have a community of clients that are moving here that are going, I can actually buy a house, not a studio apartment that I can't afford a mortgage on. So like I helped a guy recently, bought his first house for $330,000, and he moved in from California, and he was going, I literally can't even buy a studio apartment where I'm from for this price. And he bought a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. Right. And then I have a big segment of clients that are luxury, that are moving out here going, for what I'm paying the state of California for, and what my property taxes are and things like that, it almost covers the cost of my mortgage here in Tennessee for a house that's twice the size that would be, if you're selling for $5 million in California, you're getting a house for $3 million out here, which is bigger, better, badder, in a safer community, and way less in taxes. So that's been a big segment of our market out here as well. The people that are making, entry level financial decisions, and then top end financial decisions as well, which change kind of the big picture of the family's financial future.
So one of the things that I wanted to touch on is, the mindset and thinking about someone that's in California. And, it's interesting that, Terry, you put these groups together for the last 5 years. And there's a lot of people that are in our groups that don't even know that we have premier realtors across the country. We're up to almost 340 different realtors, just like Ethan. And our realtors are experts in helping people relocate to different cities. And so each week we feature, different areas, and we really highlight the cities, which Ethan, I'm sure, is going to talk a lot about his area. But I want to take a step back, Terry, and talk a little bit about the mindset and what people that are thinking about leaving, maybe we could share a little bit about our network and why they should use some of our experts.
Sure. Well, first of all, David, I've interviewed all 340 realtors that are in our network. When I first started this group, I really didn't think about setting up this network, but I started having realtors reach out to me. I would interview every one of them. All of them are well-versed in their areas. Many of them, like Ethan, are from California. And so they know the challenges of leaving a place that's beautiful, where you got great weather, and you've got mountains, and you can be in the ocean in the morning and snow ski in the afternoon, or vice versa. And so it's hard to leave that. But I will tell you, and again, I was in Tennessee last week, and I was actually out in Ethan's area at a place I'd like for him to talk about called The Grove. And I'll tell you, my friend that sold in Pleasanton, California, which is a very high-end area of Northern California, paid cash for a house twice the size that was less expensive than what he sold in California, a bigger lot, not too big. He didn't want 10 acres because he didn't want to have to pay to cut that. But his quality of life is extraordinary. He works out in the morning at the local gym, which is right there in his subdivision. He's got a championship 18-hole golf course, Greg Norman course, right there in his neighborhood. He's got his golf cart that he rides all around the neighborhood, and he's met a ton of people, a lot of them from California. And by the way, we hear this a lot in the group. Well, don't go do to your area what people are doing to California. These are conservative people. They want nothing to do with turning Tennessee into California. And so that's what they're fleeing, right? They're fleeing the politics. They're fleeing the abusive government that's out there in California. So it's back to the realtors. It can be found under the files tab. This week, I'm adding someone from West Virginia, our first West Virginia agent, someone from Kentucky. I've added people in Florida. So there's a lot of realtors that are getting updated on a regular basis. And so I would definitely recommend that if you're considering moving somewhere else in the country, connect with a professional that's already been vetted, someone like Ethan. Ethan has helped several people in our group find great homes in Williamson County. And by the way, I don't want to just pigeonhole Ethan into Franklin. Williamson County is an amazing county in Tennessee. And again, it's close enough to Nashville. And while I've got you, David, let me just say this real quick. There isn't a time when I'm going to go to the Nashville area. And by the way, my event was about 30 miles south of Murfreesboro, which is southeast of Nashville. Every single time I go spend a night where I can go down Broadway in Nashville, there is almost no, well, there really is no place like Broadway in Nashville. The quality of live music, you don't have to be a country music fan. If you're a music fan, you will hear world-class live music in every single bar. And my personal favorites is Robert's Western World. It's a honky tonk where they play the Hank Williams and stuff like that. But there's any place you want to find. Kid Rock, his place is there on Broadway. Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville is there on Broadway. So anyway, if you're going to go visit Ethan in Williamson County and Franklin, I would definitely recommend you spend a night or two early in the week. Don't do it on a Friday, Saturday. It's a zoo, especially if the Titans are in town. It's a zoo. There's thousands of people everywhere. But if you can hit a Monday or Tuesday before you go visit Ethan down in Williamson County, I would highly recommend you go stay on or near Broadway in Nashville so that you can just enjoy an evening there.
Wow, Terry, it sounds like you're very passionate. I haven't heard you this passionate about an area of the country, and it sounds like you really like it. So Ethan, we're just kind of going all over the place today, but let's go ahead and expand on that area that Terry was talking about. And let's talk about your area and let us know what's it like there.
Sure. Well, first of all, Broadway's a blast, but when you live here full time, you pretty much only go when your friends are in from out of town. So I went Labor Day weekend with one of my oldest friends. I met him in, I think, first grade or something like that. And he was out here because his son turned 21. So it was a wild evening, and I left at about 10:15 because, hey, I'm too old for that stuff. But you're right. It's great. It's live music. It's amazing. And I think one of the big draws for us to this area is we had zero desire to live in a major city like Nashville. And I wouldn't even consider Nashville to be a major city on a larger scale like a Atlanta or something of that nature. But we love having access to it. So I live in Franklin. I live in complete suburbia. It's neighborhoods and community pools and the best rated schools in the state and things like that. But if I want to, I can be in downtown Nashville in about 20 minutes. So we're Titans fans. We go to a lot of Titans games, and I could be parked at the stadium in 25 minutes, walking over to the bridge to my seats at the Titans game. And that's a great thing, because when I was living in California, we lived in Orange, California, which is kind of central Orange County. And it has a historic old town, which is one of our big draws to Franklin, Tennessee, which also has a historic old town. And if I'm trying to go to a Lakers game and go up to Los Angeles from Orange for a 7 p.m. game, I need to leave the house at like 1:30. Whereas here, if I'm going to a 12 o'clock Titans game, I can leave the house at 11:30 and grab a beer before I get to my seat before the start of the game. So it's pretty amazing to be that close and that accessible to a major city, whether it be a Titans game or a hockey game. And certainly it's known for being music city. So there's always live music happening, whether it's Broadway or major concerts or, just local restaurants or bars that are playing, which is a big, big draw. But as far as like Williamson County itself, it's a big relocation hub, and a lot of people are coming in from California because Williamson County is higher end by Tennessee standards. It's the highest average price point for purchasing a home in California or in the state of Tennessee. But if you compare it to like markets in California, it's significantly less money. With way less taxes and great local amenities and things like that. So if you're transitioning from a good market in California, the big thing that I always talk to people about is, hey, what do you want to be close to? What's important to you, or things like that? And they're like, where are we exploring? Like, I have to be within 15 minutes of a Trader Joe's. I'm like, great. Well, then you have to live in Williamson County because it's the only one in the state outside of Green Hills, which is a very high-end area of Nashville. So one of the big draws here is the neighborhoods and the communities and the houses all have their own individual, price points and characters, but the amenities that you have in a community with the commercial here is kind of rare in the South. So from leaving my house, I can be there's multiple Targets, there's a mall, there's a Whole Foods, one of the only two in all of Middle Tennessee. There's Trader Joe's, there's Sprouts. So there's all this commercial that everybody's used to in a market like California that you just don't get in a lot of areas of the country. that you can get here. There's Costco's, there's fine dining restaurants. You can go to downtown Franklin and go to Cork and Cow and get one of the best steaks you've ever had in your life with an excellent, Tennessee bourbon drink. So all these lifestyle amenities are very, very close. But if Williamson County is above the price point, or if you want more land, or if you want to go further out, a lot of people will push out to some of the surrounding areas, get what they're looking for as far as price point, and still, commute in to go out to dinner, or to go to Costco, or to go to Trader Joe's or something like that. And I think one of the unique things about the area here is counties in Tennessee are relatively small. So I always think of when I was selling real estate in Orange County, driving up to Los Angeles County was like, are you sure you really want to take on this client? And in Tennessee, I'll often cross 2 or 3 counties in an afternoon, just showing property to one client. So stuff is relatively small as far as the geographic areas, and you have a lot of different things that you can be accessible to. But the big draw to Williamson County is the abundance of great commercial. It has the top rated schools in the state. Your property taxes are going to average around 0.65 of the assessed value of the property. So do the math on that versus what you're paying in California, or if you're exploring other markets. Like I had a client this week that was exploring Austin, Texas, and Brentwood, Tennessee, which are both, higher end markets in these sections of the country. And they compared their tax bill, and the decision was simply made for them because it was 0.65 versus about 3% for the neighborhood that they were looking in Austin. And then no state income tax is a big draw here as well. But yeah, great parks, family life, kids programs. We have hockey players in our family, so they're all different kinds of sports and activities close by. And we do a lot more nature-based activities since moving to Tennessee than we ever did in California too. So, you're more likely to find my kids swinging from a rope swing, falling into the Harpeth River in a creek than you are, in the concrete jungle of a city like Orange, California, where we moved from.
So Ethan,
I think it's quite a bit there to digest. So dive in with some more questions, or any direction.
I do have a question, and this came up last week in Dallas. Dallas is still definitely a better bargain than California, as most places are. But we noticed that in Dallas, the prices are going up because a lot of people are relocating to that area. Can you share a little bit about your prices? Have they adjusted up because of the influx of new people, and are they still really competitive? Talk about the comparison again.
I guess it depends on how you're looking at it, but they're certainly up. I think the entire country is up. I always like to say I have kind of a unique perspective because I'm licensed and actively sell in both states. But the market here has gone up, on pace with most of the markets that have been big relocation hubs, like a lot of the top markets in Texas or Idaho or the Carolinas or Florida. Most of the country had a huge boom as far as, values when rates were ultra low, and everybody was relocating and working remote, and all that's kind of stabilizing at this point. I think the unique position we're in with Tennessee is, even though the market is slowing down as a whole, for real estate across the country, we are still receiving a massive influx of people moving here. So our values, I think, are more stable and actually still increasing compared to a lot of markets where they've kind of passed their wave of people moving there to where they are actually starting to see a decline. But home values will vary a lot here. It really just depends. Most of my business is referral. So people are always like, what's your average price point? I'm like, I sold literally from $220,000 to multi-million-dollar 8,000 square foot homes last year. So it's kind of all over the board as far as the different price points here. But it just varies. So like relating it back to where I moved from. So I moved from a pretty good area in Orange County, but certainly not luxury, Newport Beach or Laguna Beach or something like that. And when my local schools were 3 out of 10, and I moved here, and my house was 200 grand less than what we sold for twice the house for new construction. Nice. And I think that's still pretty true compared to what people are selling from in good, higher priced areas of California versus moving out here. But there's entry level homes. There's a lot of production builders that are building in some of the areas, not necessarily in Franklin or in Williamson County, where you can go and you can get a brand new construction 4-bedroom house for $400,000. Which is impossible in a state like California. So yeah, the price points will vary a lot, and we have first-time home buyer stuff. We have a lot of mid-range product, and we have a very large luxury market here. We have a lot of people that are moving here on the high end for a lot of the financial benefits and just lifestyle benefits.
So before, and I see Terry, he's ready. He's got a thought. I see it. But this is exactly what we were talking about and how important it is to use one of Terry Gilliam's premier realtors in this group. And Ethan, I mean, you have your passion. I can feel your passion. You're a great numbers guy, and you can really give great advice. And that's why it's so important to use a licensed realtor. Go ahead, take it away, Terry.
Well, I was just going to say, on my driving around both Davidson and Williamson County, I saw a ton of homes being built. They are not slowing down as far as I could tell. And Ethan, I'd like for you to speak to that, because I was surprised. And my friend who was showing me around the Grove, which I'd love for you to talk about the Grove too, he said they're building houses all down this street for that way and that street, and they're building this up. I mean, they're building a ton of homes out there in Williamson County, and yet it still feels very, very rural. You can be out where you're, in a subdivision that's not, in a metropolitan area. You're out in a rural area in a subdivision that's got every amenity you can think of.
Yeah, the Grove is an interesting thing to point out, and I know you just did a tour in there, and I was in there with 2 different clients over the last couple of weeks, both of which were from California, shockingly. And they're looking at it going, not to disclose too much about their personal situations, but both of them lived in higher end beach areas of Los Angeles. And they're looking at it going, okay, well, if I sell my house for $7 million and I spend 5 here, I get a house that's twice the size. I have one of the best golf courses in the state that I have access to within the community. There's 2 pools, both of which have restaurants and service at them. There's horse stables within the community. It's a gated community. And these are high-end custom home luxury builders. They don't even allow you to build the same home twice in a neighborhood like that. So it's pretty amazing to see that kind of transition, where people leave a lifestyle where their niche neighborhood is really good where they live, but if they have to go somewhere, maybe they don't feel quite as safe, or maybe they're not as comfortable with their kids or whatever. Whereas in some of these neighborhoods that we're talking about in Williamson County, the Grove being a great example, you'll see kids that are 10 years old riding around the neighborhood on their bikes because they're not worried about it. It's super safe. It's super, amenity and lifestyle rich, where you can trade in, you could buy a, luxury home out here for less money, have way less taxes and a significant decrease in your income taxes, because the state of Tennessee has 0 income taxes, and put yourself in a position where you're just living a significantly better lifestyle. People always jokingly say the only thing they miss about California is the ocean. Well, what a lot of people do is they'll sell their house in California, they'll buy a great, beautiful house here in Tennessee, and then they'll buy a second home on the beach in Florida, which could also be an income property. That's what my wife and I did. We have an income property in Florida that we go visit whenever we feel like it. So there's a lot of different things that you can just do here to expand the quality of life beyond just, is my house cheaper?
So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing. I know I've only been to Nashville once in my life, but I had an amazing time, and I really like that town. But what I'd like to do, Terry, is back up again and go back, because again, on the weekly podcast, we like to showcase different areas of the country, but we also like to talk to all of our members and like share with them what is it that we offer. So besides having the realtors, Terry, can you share with what other types of vendors we have and what other type of assistance we give to our members to help them with this big decision?
Sure. And thanks for that, David. So again, under the files tab, we have mortgage bankers. Some of them cover all 50 states. Some of them are localized. Pamela Witt there in Tennessee is an awesome mortgage broker, been with us almost since day one. She covers Tennessee and several other states, surrounding states. And then also we have some insurance people. If you need, or obviously everyone needs insurance when they move. And then we have a list of verified movers. These are movers who are direct movers. None of them are brokers. We don't allow brokers because a lot of times brokers are, well, it's the Wild West when it comes to moving. All of our movers have verified the Department of Transportation that they are licensed properly, that they also are insured properly, and that they are also have excellent safety records. And we've got them for not just moving household goods, but also for transporting vehicles, animals. I used nationwide pet transport to bring my 2 dogs from California to Florida. In fact, it's a year ago right about now. They're both laying right here at my feet. I love having my dogs here from California. And then we even have a livestock transporter who will transport horses. She won't do cattle, but she'll do other livestock, horses especially, that's on the list. And that's all located under the files tab. And I stand by any of them. They're all great people and have successfully helped a lot of people in our groups.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole premise of our groups, is to help people. We love hearing stories. I always, it's like, Terry, I get so excited when I see the people holding up their sign and they're in their new city. And I've never seen anyone sad or look confused or dazed or anything. I want to go back to you, Ethan, because you actually have done it. You moved from, just like Terry did, you moved from California and you now live in a beautiful place that your family just truly loves. If you could share a little bit about the mindset and, what is it like for somebody? What's it feel like in their shoes? They're sitting there right now and they're thinking to themselves, I really want to leave, but I just don't know what to do. If you could share that process, maybe give some tips and ideas of how having a plan and the process, and not to get too overwhelmed, and teaching them how to take it one step at a time rather than like, oh my God, I have to do all this stuff. Ethan, if you could please share that, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll chime in on that. And I'm very organized as a personality, and I'm a planner, and like I'm a checklist and tasks and follow-up tasks and all that stuff is how I run my business. But when you're talking about making a big life decision like this, you can analyze it all you want, right? But the biggest thing you have to do is at some point, you just have to make a decision. And then once the decision's made, things will start to fall into place. Okay. I mean, I'll tell you my personal story. I mean, I was a top 10 realtor in the city that I was living in California. So I was doing okay. And I basically made the decision of, we don't want to raise our kids in California. It makes financial sense to move, but I'm moving across the country with zero income in place. And it is a complete and total leap of faith, right? We're just going, we know we don't want to be here. We know we're going to do it at some point. So let's do it now while the kids are 3 instead of when they're older and settled and waiting until retirement or something like that. Once we made that decision, things just started to happen, right? And we kind of knew the steps that we were going to have to take, but the decision was the first step. So once the decision's made, then it's really just exploring your options. Do you want to go visit different locations? Where are you looking to go? Are you going to go visit and have me show you around Nashville and Franklin and some of these areas? Are you also going to go to North Carolina? Are you also going to go to Florida or whatever? So pick a handful of spots and really do a deep dive on why you would want to move there, what your motivations are for moving there. And you will probably rule some of them out before you even visit. And maybe you'll go to one and you'll go from there. For us personally, we looked at a variety of different states. We had multiple friends that had gone to Idaho. I liked the politics. I liked the tax structure and rights and things like that were pretty good, but just too darn cold. I don't have enough hair to do the winters up there. I get chilly when it's cold, Carolinas was of interest to us, but it was a little purple at the time. Florida was purple at the time. It's red currently, so that wasn't of interest to us. Texas just wasn't our cup of tea. I think it's a great state, but it just didn't have a draw to us as far as the topography. So we looked at Georgia, but like all the areas that we liked in Georgia, we actually flew out and explored and found houses we really liked, but all the neighborhoods we really liked. If I wanted to go to watch the Lakers beat the Hawks, I was driving 45 minutes into the city, sitting in gridlock traffic. So that was very unappealing to me. And then when we came to Tennessee, it just kind of instantly felt like home. We fell in love with the topography. We fell in love with the proximity to a major city like Nashville and fun and events. And then when I started really researching the laws and the taxes and things like that, it was like, great, we've made the decision. We're going to move. We've done the due diligence phase. And now we've decided where we're going to move. And then it's just putting a plan in place. And a couple of big pieces of advice I always tell my clients is, number one, you have to make the emotional decision. And then you have to put the pieces in place to have a successful financial transition plan. And what I mean by that is you need to be meeting with a good realtor in California, or wherever you're selling, if you own a house in California. If you don't have one, Terry has a bunch. I actually have a partner that runs our business in Orange County still. And then you need to find that person. You need to have them get you what you need in order to sell. So they should be able to get you a projected sales price. There's no guarantees in this market, but at least something that you can go off of. I projected what you're going to net from that property. And then you need to take that and you need to get it with a mortgage loan officer. And most realtors will have somebody that is their go-to. And I know that Terry and the groups have some preferred people in different regions of the country as well. And you need to go through that and have all the financial ducks lined up. And sometimes you need to sell to buy, sometimes you need to sell and you need to rent, and sometimes you need to sell and you're going into an Airbnb where you're looking for properties or whatever. But you want to have all these decisions kind of lined up as far as what do you do when your house sells, and can you financially start buying a house without your house selling? Because there's going to be different options, but you need to have a financial team in place, and that goes hand in hand with the real estate team, and they should all be talking and communicating on your behalf to help you craft a true strategy. I think that's one of the flaws to realtors and lenders is oftentimes they're writing offers and they're taking loan apps, but they're not actually helping their clients craft a strategy. And if you do that, you're going to have a much more, easier transition financially into your next home. From there, I always say you got to figure out where you want to move. So you can't just say, I want to move to Tennessee. It's a big state. You can't just say, I want to move to Florida. It's a big state. Where do you want to move? What locations or do you want? What's important to you in a location? What do you want to be close to? And what's your definition of close to? So for example, we moved here, our kids were barely out of diapers. My wife was going to Target 3 times a day. So she's going, well, I got to be within 10 minutes of a Target or something like that. Now that we've lived here for a while, I could easily live further out. So I call it a tolerance for distance. So your tolerance for distance to things might change as you're looking for homes or as you adjust to a lifestyle in a new state. Because if I'm driving down a country road for an extra 10 minutes, I'm not stressed out. If I'm sitting on the 405 and the 5 for an extra 10 minutes, I'm, freaking out, pulling out my hair, blasting Rage Against the Machine, trying to figure out how do I get out of this traffic, right? It's just a different lifestyle for your location to things. You might be okay being a little bit further out, moving to a no state. And then you got to figure out what are your expectations of a house? What are your expectations of the amount of land that you're purchasing? If any at all. What are your expectations of things like schools, commercial, what do you need to be close to? What are your lifestyle amenities? Where's your job going to be located? So all this is very location specific. So you have to merge your expectations of a location, lifestyle, neighborhood, house, and then take all that and say, what can I actually afford to spend? And then come to a reality. And they typically don't align when you're looking at everything. So it's very common for me to work with people and have them send me houses in the middle of nowhere going, this is amazing. I can't believe this is so affordable. Yeah, it's affordable because it's 45 minutes from the grocery store. And people need to have these kind of realization moments. So I highly encourage my clients, and most people moving here, some are buying on the first trip, but usually they're doing an exploratory trip and then they're coming back and buying later. And I am happy to show houses on an exploratory trip. I think that's a mistake that a lot of realtors make, is they're like, you're not ready to buy, I'm not showing you houses. No, people need to see what they can get for their money. All we ask in return is a level of commitment that if I'm going to go spend 2 days of my life showing your property while you're in town, that when you do come back, you use us as a realtor, or whoever the realtor is in the state that you're looking at, and you send us referrals. I mean, that's how we make our living. But that first exploratory trip, you should be looking at houses, but really you should be driving like crazy and getting to know different areas. Because oftentimes I'll have people that'll come here and they're sold on Franklin because they've heard about it from California, but then they go to Hendersonville, which is the other side of Nashville, and they love it. And we ended up working with them, selling them a house in Hendersonville. So there's a lot of different areas that might make sense once you start driving and once you start exploring, and you get out there and you kind of learn the lay of the land and you see what's going to make sense for you. And the other big thing that I always tell people to do is when you're visiting, go do the fun tourist stuff, because it'll be exciting and it'll help you sell yourself on the place that you're thinking about moving, but also go do the things that you're actually going to do when you live here. So go to a grocery store, walk around, buy a bag of chips, look at people watch, and get into conversations. Go sit at a local coffee shop and get into conversations. Go to the local watering hole and get into conversations. Go find a restaurant that you would eat at, whether you're on vacation or not, and get into conversations. Go to a local park with your kids and get into conversations. These are all going to be an immersion into the local culture of the place that you're moving to, that a realtor can explain to you to an extent, but you kind of got it's a living, breathing thing. You have to kind of feel it. But yeah, those are, I guess, some of my big tips for people relocating, regardless of destination.
So Ethan, I mean, my goodness, I want that was phenomenal. And I couldn't have asked for, because you're not just talking about people. See, as realtors, we want to help people. And that's the biggest thing that I always try to convey in my life, is that I just want to help people. I don't care if you come to Las Vegas. I don't care where you go, but I want to help you. I want to help you make a good decision. And Terry, home run there, buddy. You found the diamond in the rough with this guy. And that was the best explanation I've ever heard of really, how do you leave California and what is the thought process? Do you have something to add, Terry?
Yeah, I think, again, thanks for that, Ethan. That was awesome. So not only is Ethan an awesome realtor there in Franklin, and it can also, by the way, if you're in Orange County, can help you sell your house there too. But Franklin itself is an amazing little town. I mean, it's little to me, but it's a great town. It's got a ton of Civil War history around it. I grew up in the South, so I love Civil War history. A lot of Civil War battle sites there that are well preserved. And then, as he said, you're very close to Nashville there. But Ethan, can you just also, it's not all, what do they call it? Roses when you move there. Can you tell us about the weather, then the change of weather that you experienced going from Orange County to Williamson County?
Sure. First of all, love historic Franklin. So I'm glad you brought that up. That was a big draw to us moving here. As I mentioned, we moved from an area called Old Town Orange in central Orange County, which has a historic downtown similar to Franklin. So that really spoke to us. But there's tons of history here. So Franklin's really known for the history, and Nashville's really known for Music City. But there's beautiful suburban neighborhoods, but also, amazing rural settings as well, and kind of some of the surrounding areas. I lost my train of thought. The question again?
Just talk about the weather, the change of weather that went from the first thunderstorm you went through.
I was afraid of the weather because I am born and raised in Southern California. I'm not a big fan of the cold, so that was something I was not thrilled about, and I was afraid that the humidity was going to be horrifically bad, right? So I will say we do have all 4 seasons, and we love having all 4 seasons, but there is a couple weeks during the summer where you're probably not going for a run outside, and that's okay. And then there's a couple weeks in the winter where it's pretty frigid, but it's nowhere near as cold as more northern states. So the fall and the spring are amazing and beautiful and magical, and we're heading kind of out of summer into fall now, and it's 80 degrees and perfect and not that humid, and we were at the pool yesterday till 6:30 at night, and it's a phenomenal time of year right now, and fall and spring are fabulous. Summer is hotter and does have some humidity, but it's nowhere near the humidity that you experience in more coastal southern states like coastal Texas, or as I mentioned, we have a second home in the Florida Panhandle. I don't go there at all in August or July. I can't do it. Whereas Tennessee just isn't quite as humid. First summer I hated it. Second summer I didn't even notice it. So you just kind of do adjust. And then the winter is enough to be a true winter. I was more afraid of the winters than I was of the summer, and I actually love the winter here because you do get enough snow to be beautiful and magical for 2 days, and then it's gone. Last year we had the coldest 2 days of I don't know, 25 years or something crazy, and we had frozen trees and things like that. And 2 days later, it was 70 degrees in the middle of the winter. So the weather, the consistent thing about the weather in Tennessee is the change. So you will have a day in Tennessee where it's freezing and it's snowing, and then in the heart of January, it'll be 65, 70 degrees, and then it'll go back to being cold. So it changes all the time. And same thing with the summer and the humidity. So there will be days where it's 92 degrees and 93% humidity. And yeah, you're not going to go for a run outside. And then you'll have a summer storm and it'll be raining at the pool. And then there's no humidity for 2 or 3 days. So there is a bigger variance here that you'll see in a lot of states as far as weather. But you have all 4 seasons without extreme winters, and you have all 4 seasons without extreme humidity for 4 or 5 months out of the year. It's really for about 2 or 3 months out of the year, but there'll even be days during that time where it's not that bad. So it varies and it fluctuates. So yeah, we love having all 4 seasons: spring, fall, magical. Summer, you will get some humidity, but not as bad as you have it made out to be in your head. And winter, love the winter. Snow sledding 2 days, and then it's gone. Maybe you'll get 2 dumps a year or something like that.
I can't wait to share all of these tips from Ethan. I really am going to be sharing this with anyone that's considering relocation. What a great package that you put together for people. You know, I told you guys both before that I taught martial arts for a long time, and I've been focusing on real estate for the last 5 years. But you know, for me, discipline, structure, having a plan, how do you set a goal and achieve it? Ethan, I thought you nailed it. You did really good. We have one more topic, Terry, that we're going to move on to. And I think this would be a great topic for you, Terry, because we're talking about once they're there, once they arrive into this new area. And you've dealt with so many thousands of people that have left California. And I want you to share with when they get there and what that's like, and maybe give them some tips of once they start their new life in that new city. Go ahead, Terry, take it away.
Well, the first thing I would say is that probably a lot of people freaked out when Ethan said, go to a coffee shop and talk to people. What do you mean talk to people? I'm in California. I don't talk to anybody. No, I tell you, that's the whole great thing about the South is you can start a conversation with just about anybody. And if you can't, that means they're probably moved there from New York or New Jersey, and they're not nice people anyway. So, but for the most part, everybody is just as nice as they can be. They would love to help you out. They also want to make sure you're not going to come try and change their state into what you left. But you usually don't have to go through that. You'll run into a lot of Californians who are just as nice as they can be in other states. But I'm with Ethan. You know, when I was going up and down Broadway, I sit in these bars and I listen to this live music. I talk to everybody and I say hi to everybody. And there's nothing wrong with that. People are as nice as they can be. And you'll understand why the pace of life is so much more comfortable. You're leaving a place where it's a rat race, where it's expensive. You're coming to a place where people aren't necessarily living paycheck to paycheck. Their quality of life is so much better. They didn't just sit in an hour and a half of traffic. You know, when I left California, I was commuting 25 miles on the freeway to work. It was an hour to an hour and a half. I could literally walk faster to my work than I could. But now, you know, when you move somewhere else, yeah, like downtown Nashville, you're going to have traffic during rush hour, but you're not going to have it, you know, off
It's an hour though, Terry. It's an hour.
That's right. It's a rush hour. Yeah. Versus a rush
It's not
day.
2 to 7.
Yeah. Tell me what the rush hour, when it's not rush hour on the 405. I've been on the 405 at 4 a.m. stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't get me started. But yeah, that's exactly right. You'll just see that there's a difference in lifestyle and much more relaxed, much more comfortable. And I think you'll live longer. I mean, I got to tell you, I work out I never had time to work out in California. I swim just about 7 days a week now. I'm in the best shape of my life because I've got time to do it. I'm not sitting in traffic for 3 hours a day. So it's just life is different in the South, especially. And there's other places where it's great, and I got to tell you, I got a special place in my heart for Franklin County or Williamson County and Franklin, because the quality of life, when you go there, you'll just see. And if you want to, I'd recommend go at Christmas time. If you got time, go during Christmas break. Downtown Franklin is amazing. The way they decorate downtown. And oh no, they don't take it to the Supreme Court to take all the Christmas decorations down. They actually celebrate Christmas. Yeah. So that's another plus.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun festivals and things like that. Franklin's big on, you know, doing up the holidays and different festivals. One of our favorite events every year is they have something called the Dickens Festival. So it's downtown Franklin, literally looks like it's out of a Hallmark movie every day, all year long. But during the Dickens Festival, it's like you're crawling out of the pages of a book, and there's people in costumes from the different novels and things like that. It's really neat. But there's a lot of great holiday activities and activities throughout the year too. And end of this month, we actually have something called the Pilgrimage Festival, which is a big 2-day concert at one of the largest parks in Franklin called Harlingsdale Park or Harlingsdale Farm, where you have Foo Fighters was a headliner previously. Last year was Stapleton. This year you got Zach Bryan, the Lumineers. So there's big stuff happening within our, you know, small little town that's not quite as small as it used to be. So you don't even have to go into Nashville for big activities and big fun things to do. There's a lot to do even within the suburbs of Nashville.
So Ethan, as we wind down, and this has been an amazing, this is my favorite, and I say that every week. I guess I'm going to have to change that one of these days, Terry, but this really was, because it's so informative, and it really, it's real, it's raw, and this is a big decision. I know nobody takes it lightly. But before we go, Ethan, do you have one favorite story that you could share with a client that left California and moved to your area? Somebody that stands out that wasn't sure, or just something that resonates with you with a relocation client?
I think the general topic that excites me the most is people getting their family rooted in a new life that more aligns with the way that they want to live, that they feel like they couldn't live in California. So I mean, I have a lot of people that moved here because they couldn't feel like they felt like they couldn't put their kids in public school in California. I have a lot of people that have moved here because of medical reasons, you know, surrounding COVID, where they didn't want to put certain things in their body to skirt the topic a little bit, where there's not requirements in the state of Tennessee, and a lot of people that wanted to move here because maybe they wanted to work a few less hours and actually go to their kids' games, you know, things like that. But I think that seeing people get rooted in a life that more aligns with the way that they desire to live is more exciting to me than selling a big, beautiful home, which I happily do on a regular basis. But seeing their lifestyle improve is a really rewarding experience. And I love seeing people develop their friendships. I think that's one of the big fears when you move across the country. I'm in my I'm 42, so I guess pressing into the mid 40s now. And I was afraid at that point, like, how am I going to meet people? But Terry's right. I mean, I can't walk up and down my block without getting into a conversation and having somebody offer me a beer from their porch. It's just the way of the South. So you're going to get into relationships more easily here. And I would just say lean into the things that you enjoy, and don't be afraid to socialize and get into conversation. So a lot of people are leaning into a church, for example, or they're leaning into an activity, or like I go shooting regularly, and I meet clients and we go shooting because it's a hobby and it's something fun to do. So lean into the things that you enjoy, and you're gonna gain you know, social friends and social activities, but you're also going to just improve your quality of life based on living kind of a life by design, as opposed to a life out of what I can afford and what my necessity is in California.
So since you killed it today, Ethan, I mean, you were really, really impressive. And I'm so happy that I got to have you on my third weekly podcast with Terry. I'm going to let you close it out with final words after Terry. But remember, when I turn it over to you at the end of this, I want you to make sure you give your phone number and your email, because I'm sure there's going to be tons of people that are going to want to be reaching out to you to get more information about that amazing area. Terry, any parting words for today?
Just as a side note, as I'm thinking about that, you're also very close to the airport there. So don't let that stop you either. You're close to the Nashville airport, where you can go just about anywhere in the country from the Nashville airport, which also, by the way, has live music. Oh, one more thing. The Taco Bell on Broadway has live music and beer. It's the first Taco Bell I've ever seen that had live music and beer, but it does. So it just tells you how it operates there in Nashville.
Yeah, it's a really accessible state too. So we have a great airport, but there's so many different locations that you can drive through or drive to from here for just weekend getaways or whatever, whether it be, you know, Florida or Smith Lake, Alabama, or Asheville, North Carolina. So there's all these different fun getaways that you can go to that are, you know, a half day drive away.
So the verdict is out, and Terry is, you know, don't listen to me or Terry, or don't listen to me or Ethan. Terry loves your area. So obviously Ethan, he loves it there. He's lived there for a long time. So I'm going to let Ethan take it away and wrap it up. Go ahead and tell everybody how they can get a hold of you and contact you. And it's almost the top of the hour. This time goes by so fast. I've really enjoyed getting to know you better, Ethan. So go ahead and finish it up. Thank you, sir.
It did. We were talking a couple of days ago. I was like, we could do all this in 15 minutes, and we're an hour in, and I feel like we could talk for 2 more hours. So thank you so much for having me. Been great to get to know you better, David, and Terry. It's been a great relationship over the last couple of years, and I really respect that you're doing so much to help people. And I think that's how this all started. So if you want to get a hold of me, I'd love to meet you. A couple of giveaways that I can do. I have a relocation guide that I can send to anybody that has any interest in Middle Tennessee as a whole. I have a private Facebook group that's Tennessee specific. So if you have any more direct questions, just be sure to let me know that you came from this Leaving California or Life After California webinar if you join that. I have a business growth guide that I can send you, talking about some of the big businesses that are coming to Middle Tennessee, and there's tons of them on this list, from, you know, Oracle to In-N-Out doing $126 million headquarters about a mile from my house. healthcare industries. So all the different industries that are here, because a lot of people always have the question of what can I do for work if I move to Tennessee, if I have to go get a new job. So that might be helpful to some people. And just informational emails as far as what we can plan out as far as financial transition planning, things like that. The best way is honestly to hop on a call or a Zoom and just have a conversation. I don't believe in selling clients. I believe in getting to know them and then finding a solution that's going to best fit their needs. But if you want to reach me, my cell 615-707-0321. That's 615-707-0321. And my email is Ethan, ETHAN, at Lanigan, LANAGAN group, GROUP.com. That's also my web domain if you want to check that out. I always send, accolades and things that I've accomplished as far as being, top 1% producer and things like that. But my thing that I like to send out the most is our over 100 5-star reviews. So I can send you links to all that stuff as well, and in just kind of informational format. And if I could help you in any way, let me know. And if you're not interested in my area, but you just want to talk shop about relocation and restarting your life, happy to hop on a call and we can point you in the right direction as far as some of the other preferred realtors in the group, which Terry professionally vetted. But thank you for the opportunity. Once again, Ethan Lanigan out of Franklin, Tennessee, greater Nashville. And I do have a partner in Orange County. We still sell real estate there as well. So let me know if I can help.
Thank you so much. Everybody have a great day. Take care.
Thank y'all.
Bye-bye.